Most people don't need a better system. They need to follow the one they already built. That's the real problem. Not lack of information, not lack of clarity, not lack of potential, lack of consistency. Most of you already know what to do. You know you need to manage your time. You know you need to follow your schedule. You know you need to build daily. You know you need to create value. You know some of the things you need to be studying and paying attention to. You know what you need not to be doing. But knowing doesn't change your life, execution does. That's the uncomfortable truth. Your system usually isn't broken, your discipline is. Stay in that gap long enough, and you become the person who knows everything but never moves, who does nothing. The world doesn't reward knowing, it rewards execution, precision, direction, getting things done. So stop asking what's the better system. Ask, why am I not following the one I already built? That's what your real answer is. Stop waiting. Move in alignment with your vision now. This is the part most people avoid. People think they're stuck. Sometimes they are, but other times they're not. They're running a system. Regardless, you're running in some system. It depends on if it's a rotten system or if it's a profitable system that serves your future. Your thoughts are not random. Your habits are not accidental. Your reactions are not spontaneous. They are patterns. Patterns built from what you were exposed to, patterns built from what you repeated, patterns built from what you tolerated, patterns built from what you never questioned. Over time, those patterns become efficient, and efficiency becomes automation. That's how your brain works. It turns repetition into identity. And once something feels like your identity, you stop questioning it. You just execute it day after day. That's the trap. Not failure, not lack of opportunity, but living inside a system you never consciously built. So the real problem isn't information. Most people are not starving for knowledge. They are drowning in unexecuted knowledge. They know they need to manage time better, take care of their health, follow a system, but they keep waiting for clarity, for motivation, for the right time. That's why nothing moves. Being right is the outcome. Being able to update is the mechanism. You will be wrong repeatedly. Even the most empirical thinkers start with incomplete information, make assumptions, refine over time. So the real game isn't be right immediately, it's reduce how long you stay wrong. And that doesn't just apply to ideas, it applies to your behavior. Here's a simple thought experiment. So let's take something small such as smell. Imagine a future where bad smells don't exist. Everything smells neutral or perfectly engineered. At first, it sounds like progress, cleaner, more pleasant, more controlled, more of a beautiful lifestyle. But let's slow this down and think about this for a second. Let's be critical thinkers. What is smell actually doing? Biologically, it warns you of danger, spoiled food, toxins, infection. Environmentally, it signals decay, imbalance, contamination. Economically, entire industries exist because of smells. Sanitation, hygiene, agriculture, food preservation. Physiologically, it ties to memory, emotion, survival instincts. So now the question changes. If you remove bad smell completely, what else do you remove? Do you lose warning signals? Do you weaken natural detection systems? Do you create dependency on artificial control? Do you introduce risk your body can no longer detect? What sounds like improvement becomes a system level trade-off. Like Thomas Sowell said before, many times before, there are no such thing as solutions, there are only trade-offs. That's how real thinking works. Not is this good or bad, but what does this change across the entire system? So this is why people resist this. Biology can be engineered. Reality is malleable. The future won't look like today. These ideas destabilize people, not because they're false, but because they disrupt what feels familiar. So their brain automatically goes to shut that down. That same mechanism shows up in your own life. You don't ignore your system because it's wrong. You ignore it because following it forces you to change. Take the ring in deep space, for example. Now let's scale this up. This isn't a project that exists as of yet, but it's a concept. It's developed by engineers and designers to answer a constraint, not a fantasy. And the question lies in, what would it take for civilization to survive in isolation for multiple generations with no external support? A rotating ring. Not saying this is true or false, but this is the hypothesis and this is the educated guess. This is what scientists, engineers do. So this is not for aesthetics, this is for physics. Extended weightlessnesses degrades the human body. Bone density collapse, muscle atrophies, cardiovascular efficiency declines, fluid shifts, impaired vision, and brain pressure. So short-term missions can manage this. Multi-generational life probably cannot. So the solution is artificial gravity, not simulated, generated through rotation. But rotation introduces its own constraints. If the structure is too small, it must spin faster. Faster rotation creates disorientation. Gravity becomes uneven across the body, so scale becomes non-negotiable. A massive ring, tens of miles in diameter, rotates slowly enough to stabilize orientation, maintain near uniform gravity, preserve long-term human function. So inside that ring, you are not living, you are operating within a closed system, a loop. Food is not produced, it is cycled. Crops grow under controlled light spectra. Carbon dioxide from human respiration feeds plant life. Plant output sustains oxygen levels. Organic waste is broken down and reintroduced as nutrients. So water is not consumed, it is recovered, filtered, and reused continuously, often stored in outer layers to serve dual roles: life support, radiation shielding from deep space exposure. Energy is not even optional. It must be continuously generated, precisely distributed, redundantly secured, because failure is not inconvenience, failure is extinction. There is no supply chain, no imports, no external correction, no margin for prolonged error. And then there's the variable no system fully controls: human behavior. It will be a population of 1,000 people. They cannot leave, cannot expand, cannot reset, cannot outsource failure. Every generation inherits systems they did not design, constraints they did not choose, responsibilities they cannot abandon. So the problem shifts. It is no longer can we build it. It becomes, can humans sustain it? Can they maintain discipline without external enforcement, preserve knowledge without degradation, govern without collapse into conflict, adapt without destabilizing the system? Because in a closed system, there is no room for prolonged inefficiency, no room for ideological drift detached from reality, no room for emotional decision making that overrides function. Everything has a cost, everything has a trade-off, everything feeds back into this system. That ship is not just engineering, it is a biological constraint system, an economic scarcity model, a governance stress test, a behavioral filter in it, and it only works under one condition: the system must be followed. Because if it is not, there is no correction, there is only collapse. And that is just a space problem. That is your life. Because you are already inside systems: biological, financial, behavioral, environmental. Your body is made up of many different systems. The difference is you still have margin, you still have escape routes, you still have the ability to ignore failure temporarily. They won't, which is why the real question was never can we build it. The real question is can humans live inside a system that they cannot afford to ignore? And if you cannot follow a system you built for yourself with full freedom, why would a larger one ever hold constraint? So the daily version of the same problem is you don't need complexity, you need consistency. 3 categories every day: build the body, build the mind, build the empire. That's it. Not intensity, not motivation, not perfection. This is compounding. Most people overestimate what they can do in a year, but underestimate what 10 years of aligned execution consistency creates. So the filter is, before doing anything, before you do anything and participate in anything, ask, does this create my health, my income? Does this create my authority? Does this increase my authority? Skill stack, network, knowledge. Does it feed into any of those things? If not, it's distraction and it's just noise. And noise delays evolution. So the real cost is, if you don't fix this, you don't stay where you are. You fall behind your own potential. You become the person who knows everything and still doesn't move. An empty mind lacks direction, but a full one that refuses to empty becomes trapped in what it already believes. Knowledge can guide you or it can anchor you. Learn, then unlearn fast enough to keep evolving. That's the trap, and most people never escape this. You don't need more information, you need a better system. You need to stop outsourcing your judgment and start executing what you already know. So, thank you all so much for watching. We'll be back very soon, and you all have a great, wonderful day.